The Philadelphia Eagles ran through their penultimate training camp practice today in a 10-10-10 format. Although select practices will be open to fans over the coming weeks, and next Monday and Tuesday's practices involving the Baltimore Ravens will be open to the media, from tomorrow until then, it's a complete lockdown. We are at the end of training camp, and it's safe to say, to mark the occasion, although there's one more practice remaining, the Eagles did it in explosive fashion. Here is everything you need to know. Before we get started though, guys, make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and of course drop your opinion down below on everything we discussed in today's video. And for your daily dose of Philadelphia sports content, make sure you head to phillysportsnetwork.com for content from myself and all of our writers. And don't forget, if you can't find a place to watch the Eagles versus Jaguars preseason game on Thursday, we will be hosting a live watch along right here on the YouTube channel. We had over 10,000 of you in total come in last week. We would love to smash that in week number 2. We had so much fun last Thursday. There will be giveaways. We gave away a copy of Madden and some t-shirts as well. Make sure you tune in Thursday 6:30 p.m. with me to watch the Eagles preseason matchup. So let's kick things off with the biggest story of the day, and that's that a 10-10-10 practice always brings plenty of intrigue to the table because you never really know what to take away. But the one thing we can all learn from today is that tempers have definitely reached boiling point. On what was a veteran's day off, it was a rookie who found himself at the centre of it all, and that man was Andre Dillard, who firstly went out of his way to level safety Jonathan Cyprien on a block, and Cyprien, it's safe to say, wasn't happy, who got up quite angrily and had to be held back from Dillard. Then a few moments later, Andre Dillard and Derek Barnett got into a scuffle after a play, and almost the entire team had to jump in the way to stop it. Andre Dillard was grabbed by Jason Peters shortly after, receiving words of wisdom from the bodyguard, which is a luxury that very few in this league have access to and will be invaluable in instances like this, with Peters telling Dillard that things like this happen and should just make up, be friends and get on with your day. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long for an actual fight to break out, not counting Sharif Miller's RKO to Casey Tucker, but the aftermath involving pep talks from Peters, Peterson and even Roseman speak volumes about the culture within the locker room and how the team are able to really diffuse that kind of situation. It also says a lot about Andre Dillard's talent level as well. Maybe the defensive players were a little embarrassed that it was a rookie outshining them and making them look that bad, and that's what's caused the friction. Either way, Dillard held his own, and hopefully the Eagles move into their final training camp practice with all of that tension relieved. And secondly, the emergence of a new underdog. Dallas Goedert will be held out of preseason, Richard Rodgers has had his bumps this offseason, and Zach Ertz, the bona fide tight end one, is certainly not going to be a prominent feature in the offense over the next few weeks. It's opened the doors then for Josh Perkins, who although was underwhelming last year in limited action, isn't giving up. He was seen after practice working on the jugs machine and actually caught a bucket pass from Carson Wentz to start 11 on 11 drills today. This may be the biggest few weeks in his young career. If Perkins can keep pushing above and beyond the call of duty to stand out in preseason, there is a chance that the Eagles keep him on as a fourth tight end, just as they did with Trey Burton back in 2014 to develop him further. Perkins has the potential, but if he can harness it and take advantage of a plate that's been gifted to him, we may start to see even more of the former undrafted free agent. Next up, the rise of LJ, and I don't mean me, unfortunately. After a brilliant preseason debut, LJ Fort is insistent on turning more heads. He picked off a pass tipped in the air by Trey Sullivan today, building on what was a very solid foundation laid against the Titans last Thursday. Former Steelers linebacker was a special teams ace who went on to earn his share of defensive snaps last year, and with Cameron Grugier-Hill's sideline, he could be in the pipeline to do that again, but we're going to have a film room breaking down his very play from Thursday coming up tomorrow, so don't go anywhere. Elliott Shaw-Parks noted something interesting as well, and that is that Cody Kessler seems to be way less aggressive than Wentz and Sudfeld and is checking the ball down more frequently. With Sudfeld injured, one would expect Kessler to attack the position head-on to prove he's worthy of a QB2 role, but instead, it's the inverse that seems to be happening. Completing 64% of passes in his career so far with 8 touchdowns and 5 picks, Kessler has been known as somewhat of a game manager, which is maybe what led him to Jacksonville last year overall. It's a smart move though. There's no point in being overly aggressive and risking turnovers when keeping the offense on the field and moving the chains consistently is of far more value as an emergency signal caller. It's a smart decision, and I'm sure we're going to see plenty of the same on Thursday. And finally, Carson Wentz put on a show once again. It was a wobbly weekend for Wentz, but that's not really saying much. It's training camp and the guy was still slinging passes left, right and centre. But Wentz looked like he was back to his best, dropping dimes all over the field. The first pass of the day was a deep completion to Nelson Aguilar, and he then of course went on to hit Deshaun Jackson as well. But what stands out with me about Carson Wentz is over the weekend, the relationship with Alshon Jeffrey was one that took centerfold, with the two connecting on multiple passes. That's huge, and considering how much attention has been put on this Carson Wentz to Deshaun Jackson connection, it's not to say the others just aren't connecting, there's just that much more prominence with Deshaun Jackson. So to see Alshon Jeffrey, the team's wide receiver one, actually getting the ball a little bit more over the weekend and feasting as a result, it's a positive sign that the Eagles can still share the ball around. There is a lot of heavy hitters on that offense, and there's no way they can all get the slice of cake they want, but it looks like the Eagles are doing their best to make sure that it's spread out evenly. But that is it, guys, for another episode of Training Camp Diaries. I can't believe we're coming to the end of what has been a really exciting few weeks. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of daily content. We have had daily uploads since July 19th, so we've been grinding this stuff out. Training camp has been a lot of fun, but we now get back into the cycle of Eagles film rooms, of pre-game and post-game analysis, and of course the live stream as well. So make sure you stick around for that live stream on Thursday night, but you'll see a film room from myself tomorrow and plenty more content here on Philly Sports Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.